Hello, everyone, and welcome to All Things Politics. Let's get right to it. Black History Month is commemorated in the month of February, once a year in these United States. Another thing about Black History Month is that when we commemorate it, for the most part, we're talking about the contributions from African Americans here in the United States of America, what we've um, given to society on a whole, innovations, inventions, all those contributions that helps or propels this society forward. One thing I think also needs to be included in this commemoration of Black history is not only our contributions in the positive sense, but also those things done to African Americans here in the United States that are negative. There's a lot of that gets swept under the rug by the media, by those in charge, government, namely, that most of us don't realize took place in our experience. That's another thing about Black history is the fact that there are experiences in our history that we've went through, we've survived, that again that have been swept under the rug. And reason being is that there's an effort to keep everything we've been through, not just the good or the contributions we've made to this country, but the negative that have been done to us as a means or in a way to keep what we've done under wraps. The suppression of what has been done to us again is something that is not always put at the forefront, along with those things that those in power think need to be exposed to the public. We have a piece today on All Things Politics that would shed some light on two key figures in Black history, Malcolm X as well as Martin Luther King Jr. There is a belief that these two men did not get along, did not see eye to eye, and had no love for one another. We want to make clear, we want to make known that that's not the case. So therefore, we found a clip that we want to share with everyone, um, that actually exposes the unity or the commonality of these two individuals in the struggle for human rights here in the United States as much as civil rights. So, with that being said, let's go forward with this clip. This clip will shed some light uh, pertaining to Malcolm X and Dr. Martin Luther King's commonality.
Everything your history teacher told you about Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X was a lie, designed to keep you weak, divided, and powerless. The truth died with them in 1965 and 1968, and that was exactly the plan. The FBI tried to blackmail King into ending his life. Malcolm X's convicted assassins were innocent, and the government knew it for 56 years. These aren't conspiracy theories. These are documented facts your textbooks deliberately left out. Because if you understood who Malcolm and Martin really were and how close they came to uniting, you'd realize the entire story was designed to keep Black America from ever building real power. The peaceful dreamer versus the violent radical. Enemies fighting for opposite visions. This story was manufactured to make sure the most dangerous alliance in American history could never happen.
Right quick, we want to send a shout out to the Black Stories Untold channel. We thank you. Send this shout out for the use of this material. We have a disclaimer to point out that this is their material and we do appreciate the use of it. So again, shout out to Black Stories Untold. Let's continue.
Today, I'm exposing 6 lies that have kept us divided for 60 years. 1955. Emmett Till, a 14-year-old black boy from Chicago, was beaten and killed in Mississippi for allegedly whistling at a white woman. His killers were acquitted by an all-white jury in 67 minutes. A year later, Look magazine paid them $4,000 to confess. His mother held an open casket funeral. 50,000 people came. Jet magazine published the photos. Black America saw the truth, and something broke. This was the America where entire black communities were burned to ash while police watched, where a black child could be killed and his killers could profit from it. Into this stepped 2 warriors who would terrify the power structure more than any foreign enemy: Malcolm X and Martin Luther King Jr. The system made sure neither would live to see 40. Before we continue, if you believe these hidden histories need to be told, subscribe to Black Stories Untold and help us spread the truth they don't want you to know. Now, on to the lies white America has.
ChatGPT can now create website wireframes. With our new custom GPT, we've
been feeding you for 6 decades. Lie number 1. They were total opposites. Your history teacher gave you the easy story. Martin was good, peaceful, patient. Malcolm was dangerous, angry, violent. Secret FBI documents prove the Bureau created this division on purpose. FBI agents running COINTELPRO planted fake stories claiming Malcolm called King a traitor. They sent anonymous letters trying to start fights. FBI memos from 1964 spell out their goal: prevent the coalition of militant black nationalist groups, and prevent the rise of a messiah who could unify and electrify the militant black nationalist movement.
This is something that we know all too well. The divide and conquer approach when it comes to the black community. Again, in this channel, support unity, blackness by any means. It needs to be understood that in our communities today, that COINTELPRO operations and certain policies, certain machinations are in full effect. The goal is, again, to keep us divided, to have us all think that we're not one and the same, that our issues are not common and very much separate from each other, which is not the truth. We all have a commonality. We all have a goal, and that is to strive for not just equality, but freedom, for respect and dignity. That's the goal. That's the purpose of most of us here in the United States. However, again, there are forces at work and have been at work for more than 60 years to keep that from becoming a reality in the black community, unity. So how do they go about doing this? They employ certain tactics. They apply certain narratives to keep us divided, to keep us distracted from what the real goal should be. And again, that is love for self, love for each other, unity, dignity, and respect. This is something, again, that has been going on for some time now. To hear the story that Martin and Malcolm did not see eye to eye or had nothing in common, again, is telling. If people will, it's telling in the sense that people will go out of their way to create a narrative that spills or spins an untruth about these 2 black men and the struggles that they saw fit to give attention to address for the people. That said, let's get back to this piece.
Malcolm and Martin weren't opposites. They were 2 sides of the same revolution. When Malcolm said, "by any means necessary," in June 1964, he was responding to 4 black girls: Addie Mae Collins, Cynthia Wesley, Carol Robertson, and Denise McNair, killed by a bomb at Birmingham's 16th Street Baptist Church. Malcolm argued black communities had the right to arm themselves when the government wouldn't protect them. King's nonviolence was equally strategic. In Birmingham 1963, he filled the jails with protesters until businesses couldn't function and the city started bleeding money.
Here's another approach that I think the Black community has lost sight of, and that is the approach of economic resistance, economic defiance. All right, economic revolution. And when that phrase is used, what we mean is Blacks, African Americans here in America need to start utilizing the power of the dollar. In these times, we know that controlling our own resources, by controlling our own resources, we build institutions that surpass white establishments. We possess over 1.4 trillion in spending or purchasing power in the United States. It's not hard to figure out. Just do the math. And once we understand our power, the power we hold by or through our dollars, we could begin to affect change here in these United States of America, especially when we're talking about the betterment or empowerment of our people.
When Bull Connor unleashed dogs and fire hoses on teenagers, the images exposed American brutality worldwide. Both men understood power, and the moment their hands reached toward each other, both had to die. Lie number 2. Malcolm X was just an angry militant. Malcolm Little was 6 years old when his father's body was found on streetcar tracks in Lansing, Michigan in 1931. The family believed violent extremists from a hate group called the Black Legion killed him because Earl was organizing for Marcus Garvey. The insurance company ruled it self-inflicted to deny benefits. His mother struggled alone with 7 children. In 1938, she had a mental breakdown and was committed to Kalamazoo State Hospital for 24 years. Malcolm was 13 when he and his siblings were scattered into foster homes. At age 20, Malcolm was sentenced to 8 to 10 years for burglary. In prison, he copied the entire dictionary by hand, read Kant, Schopenhauer, Nietzsche, transformed himself from a street hustler into a scholar who would speak at Harvard and Oxford. When he joined the Nation of Islam in 1952, he built an empire. The NOI had about 500 members. By 1963, Malcolm grew it to 100,000. He recruited Muhammad Ali, founded Muhammad Speaks newspaper, reaching 600,000 circulation. He was building Black power that didn't need white approval. But here's what destroys the angry militant lie. In 1964, Malcolm left the nation and went to Mecca. He wrote, "I saw tens of thousands of pilgrims from all over the world. They were of all colors, but we were all participating in the same ritual, displaying a spirit of unity and brotherhood." He founded the Organization of Afro-American Unity and started building bridges. In January 1965, while King was locked in a Selma jail, Malcolm traveled to Selma. He met privately with Coretta Scott King and told her, "I want Dr. King to know that I didn't come to Selma to make his job difficult. I really did come thinking that I could make it easier. If the white people realize what the alternative is, perhaps they will be more willing to hear Dr. King." He told a gathering at a Congress of Racial Equality meeting, "We want freedom now, but we're not going to get it saying we shall overcome. We've got to fight to overcome."
And I think this piece is significant because what it is talking about now is something that is lost, I think, to some degree upon our people in terms of what needs to be done. If we want certain things in our communities to change, then we must work towards that change. If we don't, then we can only expect the same status quo. It will not change if we don't apply ourselves toward bringing change to not just ourselves, but our community. So that was a good point.
3 weeks later, on February 21st, 1965, Malcolm was assassinated while giving a speech at the Audubon Ballroom in Harlem. But Malcolm wasn't the only revolutionary they were rewriting into a cartoon. Lie number 3. Martin was just a peaceful dreamer. Born Michael King Jr. in Atlanta in 1929, Martin grew up watching his father challenge white authority from the pulpit. In December 1955, when Rosa Parks was arrested for refusing to give up her bus seat, the 26-year-old King helped organize what became a 381-day boycott of Montgomery's bus system. The black community made up 75% of bus ridership. They crippled the city's transportation revenue for more than a year. King and other organizers arranged carpools and coordinated rides, while the city arrested him and 88 others for conspiracy to interfere with a business.
And that's the point we're trying to make, or we would like to make, about black purchasing power, how the dollar is spent. Imagine if we were to apply these same tactics in society today, the effect it would have on certain businesses who make billions of dollars off of or because of the purchasing power of African Americans. It would change a lot. It would do a lot for us and our cause in terms of repositioning ourselves, not just in society, but in the financial economic arena, I think, which is, I think, the main thing as a tool that we can use that will affect change or make them or bring them to the table and have them focus on those things that we say need to be changed. The dollar is the power.
The boycott held. By December 1956, the Supreme Court ruled Alabama's bus segregation laws unconstitutional. They froze King in 1963 with "I Have a Dream" and hoped you'd never learn what came after. On April 4, 1967, exactly 1 year before his assassination, King stood in Riverside Church in New York City and delivered "Beyond Vietnam," a time to break silence.
And that was when it was deemed that that would be the last straw. That's when things were set into motion. That was when it was decided that Dr. Martin Luther King, was no longer of any service. The time came with Malcolm, when Malcolm realized that a lot of what he had learned or been told was fallacy, was incorrect. And he had made approaches to altering, not just altering, but re-educating himself and bringing into the forefront of his mind, first and foremost, that everything he was taught or he learned was not the truth about people altogether. When these men made these changes that they knew, those empowered knew and understood would be the type of changes that could really hurt them, it was decided then and there that they were no longer of any use to the system.
He called the United States government the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today.
And we'll leave it there with that piece. I think that speaks volumes, because here we are in 2026. United States is allegedly still the greatest purveyor of violence in the world today. We like to thank you guys' viewership for tuning into this channel. We ask again that you like, share, comment, and subscribe to All Things Politics. With your viewership and your participation, we can get more informative news and education out to the people. So we like to thank you. Take care of yourselves and each other.